Kara Hungry Hippo, I have finally figured you out. I now know what your old crusty-ass, acid crotch, hate-spewing, bomb-tossing, histrionic ass is now truly all about, and why I am your favorite target right now. Well, actually, I figured it out a while ago, as I kept explaining. I know the real reason you hate me. It's not because you hate me, personally, because we've gone at each other before. The only difference back then, though, was that we just essentially tore each other's fur out, and then you more or less went on about your business when you realized that you couldn't get the upper hand against me. So you just cowered away into the shadows and decided you didn't like the idea that this cat had claws too, and had bigger claws than you had, that did more lethal damage. But then something happened. Something changed that just brought it all back out and brought it to such an extreme to now not only did you feel a need to come back swiping at me again, knowing damn well what the original result was when you first tried it, but you put new twists to it in the form of spreading lies, slandering, and trying to assassinate my character, which is something you did not do before. Why all of a sudden, after all these years on WhoTube, I finally became the target of a false flagging campaign and had multiple channels shut down in the years that I had been operating on that thing. Suddenly, out of nowhere, here you come, and like no time flat, your presence equates into GeneralBacklash channels getting shut down. And so when I came back under my fourth incarnation, and I asked a very general but direct question, what did I do differently to get this kind of attention? Because granted, I always ruffled feathers. I knew from the very beginning, before I even decided to delve into actively participating in WhoTube, back when it was called something called YouTube. But even back then, I knew that I would not set well with people, that I would essentially be stepping on some toes and rubbing people the wrong way. And I knew as a result of that, I would get heat for it. But I was good with that because that was the persona I wanted to present. I wanted to present the hard, cold, difficult to swallow truth. Because very few people out there were doing it. Part of the reason was because they didn't know how to handle the heat. So I came along and I offered what I felt was missing in these forums. Or I added to it because, as I said, there were a few other voices who took these unpopular stands and who likewise had to deal with the blowback. And they had to deal with such blowback that they got channels shut down on fraudulent and illegitimate reasons. So I figured it's only a matter of time before my stuff gets shut down too. But it took years. It took literally years before my channels were ever targeted like that. I was beginning to think something was wrong with me because it took so long for anybody to come after me. And after a while, I started thinking that, heck, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter how I say it. For some strange, odd reason, I'm immune. But then you came along, and you broke the chain, and you made me feel as if I had arrived. But still, something wasn't quite right, because I was the pinpoint focus of all your nasty, bitter hatred and anger, and all of your lies and all of your slander. See, everybody else who ever got shut down on this thing, they had something in common. They were big names. They were very popular names. They had a wide-reaching presence. A lot of people knew who they were. You could just say their name and automatically you would evoke a response from people falling either on the positive or the negative side. I was nowhere near that class. And yet, somehow, me being the little tiny clownfish in this great big ocean of whale sharks, yet I get the pinpoint focus. So I needed to know, what did I do differently for this bald-headed, fat-waddling walrus, Kara Hungry Hippo? What was it that I did that was the flashpoint for her to not only come back after me again, after essentially getting her ass handed to her months earlier, but to come after me with a determination to shut me down and to silence my voice? It didn't add up, it didn't make any sense, so I had to relive my whole existence on this WhoTube thing in order to try to figure it out. And so I raised this question in this video. What did I do differently than I've done any other time, which never got me this kind of nasty, negative, determined attention before? And when I asked that question, and I analyzed my whole history in this thing, and seeing exactly what it led up to, one thing stood out. In fact, it's the only thing that stood out. I adopted a tag team partner. And not just any tag team partner. I adopted a female tag team partner. And no, not just any female tag team partner, a black female tag team partner. See, if I had knocked on Longlocks 82's door or knocked on Dion Lawrence's door and said, hey guys, how you feel about this idea that we form a little tag team partnership together so that we can address some of these issues and go after them and kind of like get everybody's back and be backup for one another, and whenever the hot stinging missiles start coming our way. See, that still would have bothered you, and it still would have upset you, and it still would have gotten your ire. But you would have essentially done the exact same thing that you did when you only had to deal with just General Backlash alone, which is, once I get to that point of no return where I can't fight my way out of this anymore, I'll just launch some ad hominem attacks and then be done with it. So it wasn't until I decided to do the unspeakable thing, which was not just be General Backlash and do my own little routine, but to be General Backlash continuing to do my little routine with a black female standing beside me in support. And that destroyed you and devastated you on a number of levels, because number one, black women are not supposed to acknowledge black women's ratchetness, which is something Colonel of Wisdom did, which is why you went after her. And the other thing, which is a big thing with you and your thugs and those disingenuous agenda frauds, the many that there are out there, is that black women are never supposed to say anything positive about black men ever. As long as they're complaining about them, that's all fine, well and good. But if they even remotely try to say anything positive about a black man, even if most of what they say about black men is negative, if they dare say one speck that actually says, brothers, I got your back on this one, she becomes public enemy number one. That's why you agenda frauds went after honorable, decent women like Jazzy Slim. That's why you agenda frauds went after another decent, honorable woman who I swore I would not bring up. I'm not going to subject her to this and give her any more negative attention, but you know exactly who I'm talking about. And this is also why, in your little latest recent attempt, you tried to weasel in on Jeannie Burlesque, thinking that she was stupid, ignorant, and naive, because she was having major beef with one of the worst examples of a black man ever to grace his presence in this WhoTube thing. And so you thought that was going to be your ace in the hole to use against General Backlash, because your whole agenda has been not shutting down General Backlash for the sake of shutting down General Backlash, but shutting down General Backlash as a way of getting back at him for encouraging another positive and not to mention intelligent black woman who forces you to confront yourselves. Because the woman whose shoulder I tapped to be my tag team partner, Colonel of Wisdom, is a constant, painful reminder of everything that you are not. She's the painful realization of everywhere you, yourself, and those cronies and cunt sniffers that follow along with you have failed miserably. She's prettier than you. She can formulate a better argument than you. She's younger than you. And oh, she weighs less than you. You know, I'm sure everything would have been all fine and dandy if she were still 220 pounds. But see, she's one of the rare few who knows how to take personal responsibility and to stop making excuses, and to decided that she wanted to do something good not only for herself, but oh my God, she wanted to do something good and decent and pleasant and loving for her man. There's that word. See, she attracts men. Something you don't. Which is what pisses you and your gang of cronies all to hell with. Because if you could get the kind of male attention and male validation that she and women like her get, you wouldn't be so bitter and angry. And that's a fact. So in order to try to take swipes at her or try to shut her down or to hurt her in some sort of a way, your little convenient ploy is to go after the men who give her all the praise and give her all the glowing glory, who put her on a pedestal and who give her all the accolades and who swarm in her defense by the scores, because that just burns your ass. And what burns your ass even more, of course, is the fact that there's still just a small network of other black females out there who don't fall in on this histrionic, angry, bitter, acid-crotched, anti-male, this whole Tasmanian devil whirlwind to point the finger of blame at black men, whether they deserve it or not. But just as long as they get the blame and the sisterhood gets to stick together. And yet when you find black women who don't fall for that trap, even the black women who fall victim to a lot of these shameless black men who just want to shove them in front of the train along with all other black women, and you're thinking that you're going to be able to bait them in and reel them in into your nasty, bitter, fetid crotch camp because they're the target of disingenuous and dishonorable black men, and then you find out it doesn't work. Suddenly, here come the knives. Jazzy Slim wouldn't bite, so you stabbed her in the back. Jeannie Burlesque wouldn't bite, so you stabbed her in the back. The other woman who shared mutual subscriptions between yourselves, y'all were subscribed to her, she was subscribed to y'all, but see, she didn't play it your way, so you stabbed her in the back. And now, fairly recently, Allie Emmett woke up, and when she started coming to an epiphany about who and what you really were, you stabbed her in the back. This is y'all's nature. This is what you do. You cannot suffer a black woman to actually present you with yourselves. So you gotta do anything and everything you can to attack them, to tear them down. But see, Kernel of Wisdom is different. You can't just cut her up and cut her down and expect her to go away or to be quiet or to stop defending herself. So since you have such a difficult time hurting her directly, you try to hurt her indirectly. Well see, if it wasn't for that GeneralBacklash, Kernel of Wisdom would not have existed. She'd still just be B. Valchan just dropping text comments onto random forums and then nobody would know anything about her, see? So somebody would have to go to the comment forums to even know anything about her or to know anything about her points of view or anything. So she would still be relatively obscure since she doesn't make videos and we do. And when we make videos, we can say pretty much any damn thing we want to say. And if anybody challenges us on it, well, make a video. See, they don't make videos, and the reason they don't make videos is because they know what we're saying is true. See, they won't defend themselves because they know we got the truth on our side. And see, when I helped pull B. Valchan out of that obscurity, and I introduced her to the entire world, and her popularity surpassed even mine, which I am not upset about, so don't let the inflection of voice make it seem like that I'm upset that she gained greater popularity than I did. I am very happy for her. Because as I said when I tapped her on her shoulder, we need more voices like yours. Yours will actually be a more powerful voice than my voice will be. And it's been proven to be true. So don't think for 1 second that I'm upset with the fact that she's more popular than I am. In fact, I would wish for her to be even more popular, because she can do so much more with her voice speaking on the same issues that I speak on. You know, what's she been on here for? Like, when did I establish my first channel here? 2008, was it? 2009? And in all that time, I'm still relatively obscure. But as I've said, I don't mind the obscurity, just as long as the few voices out there do manage to hear what I have to say and recognize it for being the truth that it is. And here's just some more of the truth. Because just as when she tried to shut all these other general channels down in order to wield some sort of a death blow toward Kernel of Wisdom and all her old tactics didn't work, she's still trying to destroy GeneralBacklash in order to attempt to destroy Kernel of Wisdom. See, she's trying to silence my voice, not to silence my voice, but she's kind of playing that old movie cliche that, well, if you exterminate the leader, if you capture the leader, if you kill the leader, then all the underlings will run around in mass confusion. They won't know what to do. They won't have any guidance, so they'll just give up. And so since this is her tactic, she pulls out all the stops to do anything and everything to get GeneralBacklash shut down. And she finds out that she can't get me shut down, or at least keep me shut down. So her next little method is to spread lies, rumor, innuendo, and just outright slander. Keep spreading a big lie, keep spreading it often enough, keep spreading it in all these multiple forums, because keep in mind how she does her little sneaky routine. She will go into comment threads which have absolutely nothing to do with nothing, but she'll use that as her opportunity to start up a new beef with GeneralBacklash and to take the conversation in a completely different direction and then call everybody's attention to the anti-GeneralBacklash beef. And the question again is why? Why is she this obsessed? And why is she so obsessed that she tries to pull all her other little cunt-sniffing cronies up in along with her and acting like the gang of thugs that they are to keep the whole thing going, even in forums where these are not the proper and correct place to bring these things up? What's the secret? What is the reason behind this activity? I couldn't figure this out for a long time. But as I said, if you let people talk long enough, eventually they'll show you exactly who they are and what they're about. And Kara kept talking and talking and talking and talking until she finally revealed the secret. And it all goes back to this little latest smear campaign that she keeps trying to perpetuate. Because see, she's tried everything else so far. She's tried every kind of slander. She's tried to pull every kind of lie out of her ass. She tried to do absolutely anything and everything she could to destroy my character. And she finds herself constantly failing miserably. Because anytime she came out with something, I would always respond, and I would throw facts and evidence and documents right back in her face. I would use her own words, I would use her own voice, and I would track her movements and show everyone the timeline following this fraud's activities, showing exactly how sneaky and cunning and conniving that she is. But even with all that, she would still try to weasel around it and make up whatever lie she wanted to make. I didn't know what I was talking about, or that she was just thinking, oh, if I say this long enough and loud enough, they won't even bother to check and find out what GeneralBacklash's version of the story is, so they won't bother to check his sources. They'll just listen to me say things and launch accusations, and since most people really don't care about research anyway or checking their facts, I'll just be the loudest voice out there, and I'll just say this and I'll just say that, and I'll just keep saying it over and over and over again, just like ya boy does. See, that's the same tactic that ya boy uses, and I'm bringing up ya boy because this relates directly to what I finally figured out Kara is trying to do. See, this latest attempt to try to shut down GeneralBacklash, after everything else has failed miserably, she's harping on the one thing, despite the fact that I've already on numerous occasions addressed this, explained it, and even in this particular upload, I documented and detailed in very tight point-for-point precision exactly what was behind my hiatus. But after everything else, this is the one thing that she keeps pushing, this is the one thing that she keeps promoting, this is the one lie that she wants to keep spreading out there, because everything else fell by the wayside, but this one did also. But see, she's putting on this pretense that she doesn't know that I addressed this already, not only in passing on multiple occasions, but also in very point-for-point, line-by-line detail, documenting times, dates, places, explaining when I went on hiatus, how I went on hiatus, where I went on hiatus, why I went on hiatus, and whom I informed about going on hiatus. And not only that, but explaining how long I would be gone. But see, she wants to keep throwing that lie out there to keep everybody's attention off the fact that I've already gone through this in detail. I've explained it bit by bit, point for point, line by line. But why is she still throwing this up? Because it has to do with what her little trick is now, which, as I said, it took me a long time to figure out, but now I figured it out. Now I know why she's got such a stranglehold on this one particular issue now, why she's trying to needle me and goad me and bait me into addressing this issue again, because this is part of her little sneaky little routine and her little sneaky plan. This is the plot now. I'm going to explain exactly why she's dangling this, what they call this carrot in front of my face, why she thinks I'm going to take this bait. Because what did I say from the beginning? This bitch, this witch, this acid-filled cunt is trying to get me shut down again. And this is how she's going to try to do it. Because what is her accusation? In dangling this thing in my face and throwing it out there in everybody else's face, trying to discredit me, what's the accusation? The accusation is GeneralBacklash is a coward. But not just a coward. No, I mean, we can just call him a coward and that, big deal. He just beats up on girls. So that makes him a coward. He doesn't beat up on men. Never mind the fact that anybody and everybody who's ever listened will hear me dispense just as much red ass to a man, black, white, or indifferent, as I will to any woman, black, white, or indifferent. I call bullshit bullshit wherever it raises its stink. See, I don't believe in that whole us versus them thing that so many others in these forums do. Because I'm about honor, I'm about character, I'm about principle. And I am about consistency. I don't want to ever look in the mirror and see a hypocrite staring me back in my face. So right there, she's spreading a stink-ass, bald-headed lie because she knows I go after both with equal intensity. But see, she doesn't want anybody to know that. Or she's hoping that that's what I interpret that to be. But as I said many a times, this witch is sneaky like a snake. This witch is plotting. And I'm going to explain what the plot is. See, she's not calling General Backlash out to be a coward per se. She's using one specific and particular individual to claim General Backlash's cowardice. What up, people? This is your boy. Why does she keep dangling his name in my face? Well, it's because she thinks people are stupid again. Because just as she thought that she was going to weasel her way up into Genie Burlesque and start tugging at her emotional strings because of all the nasty attacks that she was getting from ya boy and all of his ass crack sniffers, she's using the same tactic in order to try to destroy General Backlash and by extension to destroy Colonel of Wisdom. Because here's a black woman that's getting destroyed by this man, if it can even be called a man at this point. But hey, but we're going to be two-faced about it, see? We're going to scream and holler about him whenever it fits our agenda. So when we need some leverage to try to bring somebody into our camp, like a Genie Burlesque, hey sister, we're right there with you. You're being senselessly and ruthlessly attacked by this maniac, this fraud, this charlatan. We got your back. We girls ought to stick together. And oh, by the way, why don't you come over here and join our camp and shout down another loudmouth just like his? Let's all go and gang up on this General Backass. And while we're at it, let's go after his girlfriend too, or his daughter, or whatever flavor of the day I am in your minds at the time. Let's go after her too, because she's our real target. We won't tell you she's our real target, because if we did that, then we lose our credibility, see, because we're supposed to be putting on this front and facade that we're all about protecting the sisterhood, see. But see, we can't go after another black woman and try to destroy her, because then that makes us look like the hypocrites. So we got to be sneaky about it. We gotta do it in such a way that it happens in an indirect sort of a way. So let's get that General Backass, because he's just like ya boy. And so by complaining about ya boy, you're actually using the very same tactics that ya boy uses in order to try to destroy me and my tag team partner. But see, not everybody buys into your BS, which is why you got punked big time when you tried to play that little sneaky slimy game up on, trying to snake your way up into Genie's crotch. Just like you did with so many others who saw through your bullshit and didn't take the bait like the monkeys you thought they were. So you can't use ya boy in that sense. So you use them in a whole different sort of way. And the first thing you try to do, which shows how hypocritical and how sneaky and conniving that you really are, for all the screeching and all the hollering and vitriol that you want to spew about ya boy and how he's just the worst thing on earth, that didn't stop you, Kara Hunchback, or should I call you General Fat Ass now? Since you want to talk about cowards, you're too much of a coward now to do anything from your own channel. You got to go to a mock diss channel in order to try to humiliate me and stuff. But okay, I'll start acknowledging you as General Fat Ass now if that's what you want. But see, you go on your General Fat Ass channel, and as much as you despise ya boy, in order to take a nasty vicious swipe at your real target, Colonel of Wisdom, you ran to him in support. You actually appealed to him just so you could take a swipe at your target, Colonel of Wisdom. Because anything that takes a swipe at your real target, because I say again, General Backlash is not your real target. Colonel of Wisdom is and always has been your real target. A young, attractive, honorable and intelligent black woman with no baggage, no drama, and no misery in her life. Someone who refuses to play crabs in a barrel with your rancid asses. You have to do anything you can to discredit her and preferably to shut her down. And so when I saw that you kept appealing or you kept using as your go-to, ya boy, that's when the pieces all finally started to fall together. That's when I really started to realize what exactly it was you're trying to do with this whole latest thing that you're doing, as far as everything else keeps falling by the wayside. You keep getting backed in the corner, you keep getting smacked down, you keep getting faced with the truth about who you are and what you're doing, and everybody's seeing it. And when you've got no more wiggle room, then you launch into the ad hominem attacks because you've got nothing left, and you've got nothing left with this one either, because it has been documented and analyzed to death as to why I took my hiatus. But for some strange reason, you kept wanting to push this one. You kept wanting to hold on to this one. You kept wanting to throw this one out there. And as I said, agenda frauds do things for very specific reasons. And it was not until this morning, until after I learned about this latest little run that you're trying to have now, where you're still trying to push all this stuff out, again, in a comment forum, which has nothing to do with you, which it was pretty much explained to me why you're doing this now. You're going to these different forums right now because you're doing the same thing that ya boy does, which is you're trying to get notoriety. You're trying to get exposure. And it's not exposure for yourself either. See, the person who alerted me to this was making it seem like you're doing this, you're going into these popular channels and getting in on their commentary threads to get exposure for yourself and for your channel. No, that's not the case. Because if you're trying to get exposure for yourself, you'd be doing it under Kara Hunchback or Kara Hungry Hippo or whatever you're calling your official channel nowadays. But see, you keep doing it under General Backash, or as I call you, General Fat Ass, because you're plotting. You have an insidious agenda that you're trying to see through to fruition. See, this is not about giving yourself exposure. This is about trying to give me exposure. But it's about trying to give me the wrong kind of exposure. The kind that will discredit me. So you're going into these popular forums, stirring up drama where none existed until you arrived, and you keep spreading your lies and they keep getting smacked down. But this one ace in the hole of yours, he ran away when his tag team partner started getting attacked and threatened to get beat up by ya boy. He pulled a disappearing act and he waited half a year before he came back and said anything about or even addressed him, and he did it in one little video or two little videos. He never said anything about him. He doesn't go after him. He doesn't say anything about ya boy because he's scared of him, or he just likes beating up on girls, so he's just going to let him say anything that he wants to say. But see, Kara's lying, and she knows she's lying, and anybody who's been paying attention to me knows she's lying, because I have not held back, and I still don't hold back from ya boy. I don't have much to say about him because at this point he's become irrelevant, but I still let it be known that I have major issues with him. And no, I didn't have issues with him just because he came after Kernel of Wisdom. Granted, she was part of the reason, but she was not the reason. Because as I said, one of the reasons I tapped Kernel of Wisdom on the shoulder to be my tag team partner was the fact that she can handle her own. She doesn't need my help unless somebody's coming at her in such a cockeyed way that I have to stand up in defense of her. But she was doing just fine by herself without any input from me. I didn't need to get in on that whole thing. But see, I saw how this insidious snake was, and I had to call it out. Because keep in mind, I had at one time supported and defended this monster until he showed his ass for who and what he really was. And then essentially, I just let everybody know that, look, ain't no shame in admitting when you get duped by somebody. See, a snake's success is its ability to charm you. But the thing is, you have to be smart enough so that you know how not to fall into its mouth. And when I figured this out, I stood up there as one of the few black men that said emphatically, this fraud and this charlatan needs to be called out, and called out big time. And when I did that, it was in defense of not only Kernel of Wisdom, but it was also in defense of Ambi 101. It was also in defense of Jeannie Burlesque. And if I had followed her to any real degree at all, I would have likewise called him out on his insidious, nasty, vicious attacks on Akka Judy, who, based upon some of the things that I've heard from her, I would not normally defend her. because I don't like a lot of what she stands for. But see, she was being unfairly attacked by this fraud, so in that sense, she deserved being defended. But see, there's something else that Kara Hungry Hippo is hoping that you overlook. That the people that I came out in defense for as a result of all these attacks from ya boy, they all had one thing in common. They were all black women. You know, the very same people that I supposedly do nothing but beef and holler against and beat up on because I'm just a black woman basher who never has anything good to say about black women, and I never go after black men for all their ratchetness. Remember that? But see, with Kara Hungry Hippo, ya boy is the bait that she thinks I'm going to get hooked with. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what it is she's trying to do. Why she's continuing to perpetrate this lie now. Out of everything else that she's tried, every other tactic that she used, why is she falling back on this one as her bazooka? Why she keeps poising her finger over the button of this one as though it were her Alpha and Omega doomsday bomb. Here's the reason why she's got this one strapped on her back as her ultimate weapon, as her atom bomb. Because you see, if this stinking crotched fraud knows nothing else about me, she knows that I will not stand for false accusations. And at any false accusation that she levels against me, I come back in her face with it tenfold. And I detail everything. Knowing that, her little sneaky trick now is, I've got Charlie's golden ticket in my hand to get him to get shut down forever. Or at least to get him shut down in this 5th incarnation. So at least I can keep him quiet for a while, and then while he's shut down, I can go in there and I can say anything I want to, and I can make up any story I want to. Because see, what she's thinking, what she's trying to do, she's trying to goad me into making one of my long, screeding, point-for-point detailed videos about ya boy, and to pull out all the stops, just as I do with her, just as I did with her, which is what resulted in her resorting to getting my other channels flagged down. But she figured like, well, since it's a little difficult for me to get him shut down and to get him stage shut down, because he's throwing so much truth out there about who I am and what my tactics are, that I'm losing all kinds of credibility. I don't have the same gang of thugs or thugettes that I used to have in order to start a flagging campaign against this natural-born ass burner. So I don't have that kind of leverage anymore in order to get his shit shut down. But I know somebody who does have that kind of leverage. That's right, ya boy. See, what she's up to, what she's trying to do, is in order to get GeneralBacklash shut down, since she doesn't have that kind of support within her own camp anymore, she's hoping to cattle prod me into offending ya boy, to go after him, to make a long-winded detailed video about him, to do a point-for-point expose about him, because we all know how he despises the truth to be told about him, and we see how he responds to it. Because all he has to do is yell jump to all of his minions, and the first thing out of their mouth is how high and in which direction. See, those are the kinds of numbers of influence that she wishes she had, but she doesn't have. And so since she doesn't have them, she will appeal to the very creature that she despises just as much as I do in order to do her dirty work for her. Because she's hemorrhaging right now. Her credibility is shot because her supporters just keep falling by the wayside. Only the super hardcore ones who have their own reasons for being hate-filled, vitriol-spewing acid crotches, they're the only ones who are really sticking around with her. But everybody else is waking up to her bogus BS, and they're dropping away in droves. So she doesn't have that little network to shut down the ass thing that GeneralBacklash keeps handing out to her. So she's going to have her enemy do it for her. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if I don't have the network to shut down GeneralBacklash, and hopefully, as a result of that, shut down my real target, Kernel of Wisdom, then I'll have my other enemy's network do it for me. We'll kill two birds with one stone. Because I hate Kernel of Wisdom, and he hates Kernel of Wisdom. So if I can get him to shut down GeneralBacklash and Kernel of Wisdom, I just used his ass in order to do for me what I've always wanted to do. That's her trick. That's her plot. That's her whole goal. She's trying to get me to put myself into a situation where I catch the attention of ya boy, so he can come after me with all his nasty viciousness and his histrionics, and then send out the battle cry to all of his ass sniffers, go get that General Backlash. Show him that what we think about his, however he wants to spin that. And then when his gang of thugs successfully shut down General Backlash, Kara Hungry Hippo dances a jig in the streets because she got what she wanted, that she couldn't do herself. And then, with General Backlash silenced, at least for a while, she can run haywire and wild and amuck, saying anything that she wants to say, making up any story that she wants to, telling any lie that she wants to, spreading it as far and wide as she wants to, without General Backlash riding right there on her ass, immediately knocking her crap down. See, that kind of leeway gives her every opportunity to try to establish herself in the position of not only the victim, but the victor. Because you know how she'll spin that around? Because if she could succeed in getting ya boy to shut down General Backlash and, which is her wish, Kernel of Wisdom at the same time, this lying snake would go right around and she'll try to lay the claim that she was the one who got General Backlash and or Kernel of Wisdom shut down. See, it was through her actions and her activities. See, it was because she was saying things that General Backlash and Kernel of Wisdom couldn't refute. They couldn't defend, or that they ran scared, and so they shut their channels down, or they ran and hid. Just like she's doing right now. Everybody knows why I closed my channel on YouTube, which of course I did not completely close down. But you know those little trailers that YouTube says, put a little trailer to describe what your channel's about? That thing comes up on autoplay. As soon as somebody goes to that channel, there's my trailer explaining exactly why I no longer post public videos on my YouTube channel. But see, the spin that she puts on it is, he's hiding. He can't deal with the heat. He can't deal with the missiles of when we expose him. See, we're exposing him, so he's running and hiding. He's putting all his stuff on unlisted. He's putting all his stuff on a different website because he can't handle that. We're exposing him, so he's got to run and hide. See, that's why he changed his avatar from his little General Backlash 5-star insignia and replaced it. Because I called him out on his military this, that, or the other or something, or I embarrassed him. See how she does? You see now what I've been talking about all the time about this wicked witch of the South, this fat-ass mammy-looking Grossa Beach hippo? And so, just setting the pattern, if she can manipulate me in such a way that makes me come at her by invoking ya boy, she's hoping that in defense of myself and in retaliation against her, I would say enough about ya boy that he and his minions will come after me and do one massive shutdown campaign of me and my channel. And then when I'm gone, see, we ran him off. See, we kept exposing him, and so he knew he got called out and he knew that he got exposed, so he ran and hid. See, that's what he does. He runs and hides whenever anybody exposes him. Interesting how it never happens. All this talk about how I run and hide and how I try to slink away into the shadows, and yet each and every time that she says that, I ain't gone nowhere. Anybody notice that? So if I'm not running and hiding after all these years of her doing the exact same thing over and over again, what in the world makes you think I'm about to throw in my towel and run and hide anytime soon? I told you mofos from the very beginning, I ain't going nowhere. It may take a little bit of extra effort to find out where my activities are, but I give you all the breadcrumbs to follow like Hansel and Gretel. If you want to know what I'm doing, if you want to know where I'm all about, all you got to do is click an extra link. Too many folks are too lazy to do that, which I knew was going to happen the moment that I decided that I'm not uploading public videos on YouTube anymore, because, as I've been saying for the past several years now, Google doesn't want you to be a part of whatever this damn thing is now. They are erasing, no, not they are, they have erased you from YouTube. Latest thing, they determined that they don't want you making video responses to other tubers. And when I learned about that, That's when I changed my avatar. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to do anything and everything I can to advertise the fact that this is not YouTube anymore. And if it means that I got to take down my avatar and switch it out with something to get that message across, then by golly, that's what I'll do. And that is exactly what I did. But if anybody thinks that for some reason I'm trying to cover over anything, or I'm trying to play little sneaky hideaway games, in every single updated video that I post, you've got the link to my off-site channel page. You want to see my insignias? Go right there. Everything's still posted. You want to see my video archives? You go to my channel page, which is off-site of YouTube, and you can pull up any and everything that you want to look at, and then some. See, a person who's hiding or who's trying to hide doesn't tell you exactly where to find them and doesn't encourage you to do so. But see, this is how these sneaky, conniving, slippery, slimy eels operate. And this is the last little piece of ammunition in her salvo that she's hoping is going to seal the deal. See, she's hoping that GeneralBacklash is going to get shut down as a result of, in effect, having his own actions result in his getting shut down. And once I figured that out, once I finally understood what this is really all about, then unlike you, Kara Hunchback, Kara Hungry Hippo, Cunt Liquor 100%, whatever, General Fat Ass, I decided, no. I am not a monkey. So you cannot trick me into snatching the bait and trapping myself. Can't do it. Ain't gonna happen. Not now, not ever. So you just keep playing the game and you keep losing because you don't get it. See, you're playing the schoolyard game thinking that you can go up against the pros. But when you do that, you will lose every time. So how does it feel to get punked and owned again? How does it feel knowing that you're not as slick and as clever as you thought you were? How does it feel to know that there are some people out here smarter than you? Just like Jeannie was smarter than you. Just like Allie Emmett was smarter than you. How's that feel? Are you proud of yourself now that yet again you tried to play Cyber Egg Toss with the Cyber Egg Toss champion, and once again, as always, got left with egg all over your face? So what's the next thing out of your bag of tricks, Felix? Because the way I see it, you've run all out of options. You've tried everything imaginable except sending a hitman to my location. So I don't know, is that going to be your next tactic now? Because you've tried everything else and it's all failed miserably. So how much more of a masochist are you? What are you going to try to come up against us with next? I'd be interested to see. End of line.